Two sizable regional banks halted trading last week: SVB Financial, Silicon Valley Bank, ticker SIVB, and Signature Bank New York, ticker SBNY. Both of these saw heavy options trading volume before they were halted. If you have options positions in either of these, stick around. Hi, I'm Mike Coe. Both Silicon Valley Bank in California and Signature Bank New York were closed by regulators last week. If you currently have open options positions in either or both of these stocks, you may have some steps you need to follow before those options expire. The first expiration date for both of these is March 17th, 2023. That's tomorrow. But much of what we go over next may well apply to subsequent expirations as well if the trading halts on both of these names aren't lifted. So first, a couple important disclaimers. Although I am a representative of an SEC registered investment advisor, namely Optimize Advisors, what we're going to discuss is not investment advice. The source of the information I'm going to discuss is the Options Clearing Corporation. However, it is possible that some of what I'm going to be sharing with you tonight may change. I'll provide links in the description, and I encourage anyone watching to go to the OCC website and search their info memos whenever you have questions about the potential implications of either corporate actions or market actions that might affect securities you hold. Finally, I'm not responsible for any errors or omissions, but I hope I can get any viewers who have positions in these or any halted securities pointed in the right direction. If you are a depositor in either of these institutions, policymakers have announced several emergency measures intended to ensure that depositors will be made whole. But I'm not going to discuss steps to follow for bank customers. Rather, I'm just going to be going over the implications for those investors who might hold options on either of the stocks of these two banks. So several OCC info memos informed clearing members that NSCC, which is the National Securities Clearing Corporation, which is a subsidiary of DTCC, will not be accepting exercise and assignment activity. And so the OCC has informed members that because of this, trades may instead settle using something called broker-to-broker settlement. Now, trade settlement, as far as individual investors are concerned, is the responsibility of the clearing broker. So you don't necessarily have to worry too much about that. But what is important about that is that it may have some implications on things that you do have control over, and you may want to control them. As a holder of an option position, you may either receive or deliver something other than the stock itself. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But first, let's just talk about the exercising of the options. The OCC will not impose any exercise restrictions. But the OCC is changing at least one part of the exercise process. So you may want to contact your broker early to ensure you know how to exercise options that you hold if you wish to. Do not assume that they will be exercised automatically, because although generally OCC Rule 805 has provisions for the automatic exercise of certain in-the-money options at expiration, a procedure that's also sometimes referred to as exercise by exception, which is 805D2 if you're interested, every option contract, I'm going to read it for you now, every option contract of each series listed in the clearing member's expiration exercise report that has an exercise price below, in the case of a call, or above, in the case of a put, the closing price of the underlying security by 1 cent or more, they exercise those automatically. However, of course, these stocks were halted, so they don't know what price to use. Consequently, they're not going to do this. So on March 14th, the OCC released memo 52111, stating exercise by exception processing has been removed for SIVB and SBNY, among many other securities. And again, we're going to provide a link to that. As of March 14th, the below options have been removed from automatic exercise in expiration processing because either trading has been halted in the underlying securities or a corporate action has occurred on an underlying, resulting in uncertain pricing on a deliverable. If the issues surrounding these events are not resolved prior to the expiration date, which of course for the first expiration is tomorrow, these options will not be subject to OCC's automatic exercise thresholds in expiration processing. If OCC becomes aware that the issues have been resolved, I think that's unlikely, automatic exercise thresholds will be restored prior to expiration. Please note the removal of automatic thresholds will affect all options on the affected security and all expiration dates. Standard equity option expiration, third Friday of the month, weekly, daily, flex, and quarterlies. Now, in this case, both of those were regular way expiration options, and tomorrow is regular way expiration. If it is not possible for the delivering clearing member to effect delivery of the SBNY or SIVB shares on the designated settlement date, then the settlement obligations of both delivering and receiving members shall be delayed until such time as OCC designates a new exercise settlement date, settlement method, and or settlement value. Pursuant to customary OCC broker-to-broker settlement procedures, inability to effect delivery may subsequently occasion cash settlement as determined by OCC. Holders of long positions in these affected options will need to make independent determinations of the value of the option deliverables in deciding to exercise or not exercise any expiring long position. Okay, so what does all of that mean? First of all, because of the complications in the settlement process, they may not actually be delivering the shares. So you may not end up necessarily with a short position or a long position, depending on what side you are. I think it is reasonable for people who have short options positions. If you are short puts that were in the money when these stocks were halted, I think it is a reasonable assumption to make that holders of those options will exercise those options and you will be assigned. What will you be assigned may be a long position in the underlying stock at the strike price, or it may, depending on how the settlement process goes, end up being some cash debit amount that should reflect the calculated value of the shares as determined by OCC relative to the strike price that you were short. Similarly, if you are long those puts that were in the money, any puts that you happen to exercise, you may end up short the underlying stocks at the strike of the put that you held. Or alternatively, if that can't happen, you may end up with a cash amount instead. The important point I want to make here is that if you believe that the value of these shares is below the strike of a put you hold, you want to exercise that put. It will not be exercised automatically, and it is entirely possible that your clearing broker is going to be quite busy fielding calls. There are a lot of these things open. I was looking at just one single strike, and by my estimation, assuming the stock is worthless, and I'm not assigning a value to the stock, but let's just say that it is, that one strike alone represents about $27 million worth of value. And that was just one strike, one expiration, SIVB. So please, look at these memos. Figure out who you need to contact if you're a broker. If you do not know how to exercise options that you wish to on your broker platform before the close of business tomorrow. I hope you found this helpful. You can do a little bit more work, and we're going to include the OCC bylaws and rules in there as well. Thanks for watching.